It's almost unbelievable how loud the fashion world got the moment word slipped out. Meghan Markle wasn't just being avoided, she was being straight up blocked. Not politely declined, not quietly brushed aside. Dior, an empire that has dressed queens, icons, legends, women whose names echo through history, had one message: do not contact, do not collaborate, do not request, do not even try. And honestly, the people who'd worked behind the curtains weren't even shocked. They had seen the warning signs way before this moment. Dior wanted calm, clarity, and control. Three things that reportedly vanished the moment Meghan stepped into the picture. Wherever she went, the whispers followed. Missing gowns, unreturned dresses, photo shoots where more things disappeared than anyone planned for. Some dismissed it as gossip, others swore it was the fashion industry's worst-kept secret. But everyone agreed on one thing: something was always just a little off. And then it happened, the tiny spark that blew open the entire conversation. A simple green dress, a photo shoot, a moment frozen in time. And then, years later, that same dress resurfacing on Meghan's body like some kind of fashion boomerang that finally came back with receipts. That one reappearance was enough to shake the ground beneath her designer heels, because suddenly everyone wanted answers. Was Dior the only brand done with her? Who else had reached the same limit? And what really happened behind that missing dress drama that everyone tried to keep quiet? To understand how everything snowballed, you have to rewind to where the trail actually begins. It started innocently with a polished, glossy photograph for Variety magazine. Meghan, glowing in a soft green designer gown, looking serene, stylish, elegant. People barely blinked until someone said, "That dress, it was never returned." Apparently, the fashion house had not gifted it, not paid her, not made a special arrangement. The dress was simply a loaner, standard, boring fashion industry procedure. You borrow it, you wear it, you send it back. But when the photo shoot ended and the racks were being packed up, the gown was just gone. No form, no signature, no approval, no explanation. And honestly, that could have been the end of it. A tiny mystery swallowed by thousands of other fashion stories. Except 3 years later, Meghan wore that exact same dress again, the one that was supposed to be returned but never was. The world didn't miss it this time. It blew open the door that had been quietly shaking for years. Designers suddenly remembered the stories. Stylists recalled the warnings. Wardrobe coordinators whispered, "See? This is what I meant," because to them, this wasn't some little slip-up. It was a pattern they had tiptoed around for ages. The moment Meghan stepped out wearing that same gown, it felt like the universe handed every fashion insider a loud, glaring, undeniable receipt. And once the receipt appeared, the rest of the stories crawled right out behind it. The fashion world didn't gasp in shock, they sighed in recognition. Because for years, stylists had avoided sending her pieces. Assistant designers quietly refused to offer lookbooks. Brand managers pretended they didn't see emails from her team. And not because they disliked her personally, but because clothes kept disappearing. And no one wanted to play wardrobe detective every time something went missing. Then there was the biggest domino of all, Dior. A brand that dresses royalty without hesitation. A fashion house that welcomes princesses, aristocrats, and mega celebrities. If Dior chooses you, it's a sign of honor. If Dior avoids you, it echoes across the entire industry. And insiders say Dior was done. They had seen enough. Too many stories, too much unpredictability, too much potential PR, chaos over what should simply be borrowed clothing. When Dior distances itself, it isn't loud, it isn't dramatic, it's silent, final, and the whole fashion world hears it like a quiet earthquake. But the story stretches even further back, long before palaces, before tiaras, before royal budgets, and security gates. It goes back to Toronto, to a commercial set for the clothing brand Reitmans, where Meghan arrived bright, charming, and ready for the cameras. When filming wrapped, the wardrobe team did their routine inventory. Except this time, something felt off. Dresses missing, a pair of Aquazzura, very Matilda, heels gone. A bundle of clothes simply not there. At first, they brushed it off as a harmless mistake. Shoots get messy. Assistants mix things up. But months later, Meghan walked out for her royal engagement announcement, wearing those exact Aquazzura heels that had vanished from the set. That's when the puzzle pieces clicked into place loudly. When asked, Meghan reportedly said she didn't want the items she wore ending up on eBay because she was too famous for that. Wardrobe insiders blinked. If she didn't want them sold, why not ask? Why not purchase? Them, like every other actor does? That small Toronto incident became the quiet warning passed between stylists for years. Be careful, things go missing around her. When she stepped into Kensington Palace, she didn't just enter a royal home. She entered a centuries-old institution built on strict, unwavering rules. Rules no one before her questioned. But insiders say Meghan arrived carrying a Hollywood mindset where gifts are perks and wearing designer pieces is considered payment. But royalty does not accept freebies, not clothing, not jewelry, not accessories. Everything must be purchased, documented, cleared. And within weeks, staff say Meghan began requesting designer gifts, something completely against royal protocol. When palace aides gently reminded her of the rules, things reportedly got tense. Meghan pushed back, argued, questioned, believed exceptions were made. For her and more should follow. That's when the palace realized the issue wasn't a misunderstanding. It was a repeating pattern. Borrowed items not returned. Clothing unaccounted for. Requests the palace legally could not approve. Staff tried explaining again and again, but apparently Meghan saw the rules as outdated obstacles that shouldn't apply to someone from Hollywood. That's when the institution braced itself. And what unfolded next made everything else look small. When Meghan officially became a working royal, Prince Charles took on a formal duty. He would fund the wardrobes of both his sons' wives for their royal engagements. Catherine's clothing expenses were reasonable, around £100,000 for an entire year. International tours, state events, charity appearances, the whole package. But Meghan's wardrobe spending? Insiders say it skyrocketed to nearly £1 million, almost 10 times Catherine's total in a year with fewer engagements. Charles wasn't upset about the money itself. He was concerned about the pattern. Why were so many expensive outfits needed? Why were some designers calling back, asking when their loaned items would be returned? Why were so many pieces worn once and never again? He reportedly tried addressing it gently, a calm talk, a reminder of boundaries and royal expectations. But insiders say Meghan didn't take it well. She felt targeted, criticized, controlled. And that delicate conversation became one more crack in her already fragile relationship with the royal family. Behind closed doors, palace staff murmured the same thing. She didn't like hearing no, and every time they tried guiding her, the walls only grew taller. But the wardrobe drama doesn't stop there. Because while Charles dealt with the financial chaos, another storm brewed, this time involving a British fashion icon, someone Meghan knew personally, someone who had never been dragged into controversy before. Even that relationship, insiders said, became strained because of the same pattern: missing items, confusion, and crossed boundaries. The world always asks the same question: if Meghan has money, power, fame, why would she take anything? But insiders insist it was never really about money, it was about entitlement. A belief that if she wore a designer piece, she deserved it. That her image was valuable enough on its own. That the rules didn't need to apply to her. That mindset collided head-on with royalty, with fashion houses, with personal relationships. And that's why brands like Dior stepped away. Not because of one dress, but because of the pattern her behavior revealed again and again. And once people understood that, they stopped trying to make sense of it. Because it wasn't about the cost of the clothes, it was about everything those clothes represented. And that's exactly why the fashion world finally reached its limit. One missing dress can be forgiven. A miscommunication can be brushed off. But when the same story repeats itself in different cities, different shoots, different stages of her life, people stop believing it's coincidence. Designers stopped feeling flattered. Stylists stopped feeling excited. Wardrobe teams stopped feeling comfortable. Everyone just felt cautious. And the moment Dior quietly stepped back, it was like the entire industry exhaled. Finally. Not because they hated Meghan, but because someone had finally said out loud what everyone else had been whispering. The missing gowns, the unreturned heels, the arguments over royal rules, all of it finally made sense as one long, messy pattern. And deep down, everyone wondered the same thing. If this much drama followed something as simple as a borrowed dress, what happened behind the scenes that none of us ever heard about?